Alright, what is up guys? Lizamanic here, and welcome to a video where I'm going to be talking about what is the best, well, okay, not the best Nuka-World raider groups to side with, but just, overall what would be the preferred version. Now, a lot of people understand, like, oh, I already know who to side with, but there are some technical standpoints to choose from because it's more than just picking who you like because they could end up not being the best. Now, I do want to say that there before I start, I do want to say that there is a good ending and a bad ending. There is something I like to call the best ending. Um, which depending on who your character is or how you play it could be really good or could ruin the style of your character. Personally, for me, with 3 of the 4 characters that I use for Fallout 4, even though I have one so far who's only started with the railroad, it's actually pretty good because I consider my character to be a puppet master for evil people, and this is definitely no exception. So let's go over each of the factions, what you get for siding with them, and then I'll talk about um, who you should side with depending on how you play. So there's something for everyone. Now, I understand that I did mention best. There is no morality to this. Like, oh, you should side with the pack because so and so. Um, this isn't like the 4 main endings of, or the 4 main factions of Fallout 4. I'm not gonna say like it's not gonna be a way of like, oh, you should side with the Minutemen because they care about people and whatnot. Well, that is true. That's not what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about like who you should side with if you choose to do so, based off your character, and then so you guys can go from there. Now you do get you do get 2 raider groups to side with, raider gangs. So keep that in mind throughout this video. So first, I'm gonna save my favorite for last, even though I barely side with them. So let's start. Actually, I'm gonna go in order from the Nuka-World all the way, or the Nuka-World area all the way over to Fizztop Mountain. So the first group is the pack. The pack gives you the perk that it gives you is Pack Alpha, which increases damage threshold by with damage resistance by I think 25%, with 10%, and it increases damage of unarmed and melee weapons by that same amount. I didn't do much research at the time because I thought I would know this. I don't, but it is probably the most useful perk, and the reason that is unlike the second half of the perk where it affects unarmed and melee, that damage resistance is overall. Like, it doesn't matter if you use weapons, big guns, or if you use a handmade rifle all the way down to the fucking thirst zapper, or all the way up to the fat man. That damage resistance stays. That's a permanent thing. Now, I don't know if it's actually it probably act the same way as toughness. I know there are a few perks that that are different from some other perks which I talk about. So, but I don't think that's the case. Or I don't know if actually yeah, the unarmed melee is just constant. Kind of, I would say it's kind of like bloody mess, but because there are certain standards on like bloody mess, which just increases it as a whole. So, and then for the pack, you get a furious baseball bat or pack bat, depending on how you want to say it. Which, for some of you guys who don't know, furious effect increases damage with each consecutive hit, such as, and then also, which is just like the splatter cannon or the problem solver, and I think there's one more, but I can't think of any. So yeah, and it's actually I'll talk about it later. Next is the one I constantly side with. Well, I always side with the pack, but this one I constantly side with because one of the characters I play as is so much fun. I restart and I just side with them. The disciples, because I completely messed up my thing where I was gonna go from the market all the way down to Fishtop Mountain. So we're changing it up now. So the operators give you Ace Operator, which increases some of your AP with a kill. I did search it up. It is 25% of your action points. So personally, I think it's actually pretty useful if you use a melee character like I do. Then it is absolutely useful because that 25% could help you. Especially if an enemy's not. Although, if an enemy's not working, would you really go back to? Would you really use a weapon? But if that is the case, I would definitely say the deliverer would be pretty good for that area. Speaking of which, they give you what is, in my opinion, the best weapon to get if you're a melee character in the Nuka-World DLC, which is the Instigating Disciples Blade, Cutlass. The Instigating Disciples Cutlass Blade, or Disciples Cutlass, whatever. Which, if you guys don't know, instigating does double damage if your enemy is at full health, which makes it better if you are a stealth or a sneak melee character, because it's the double damage times ninja and sneak criticals, and if you have cloak and dagger, which is Deacon's perk, it's actually pretty useful, and it's actually kind of fun. I remember whenever I betrayed after I started with the bosses at Nuka-World, I proceeded to start open season, and one of the things I did was, because the pack was always really difficult for me, so I managed to clear out the pack area without dying as often. I don't think I died at all during the first half, and the second half I got absolutely destroyed. First half being like Mason and all that, and the second half being the backstage or the lower area. So, give me a moment. Alright, sorry about that. My nose is acting weird today, so I might have to constantly pause and go blow my nose. I'm sorry. Anyway, so so yeah, whenever I forgot where I was talking about. So anyway, so the operators is actually, or not the operators, the disciples are actually a pretty good group to work with. I will talk about like characters who are perfect for the raider groups. So or what raider groups are good for certain characters. So it's pretty. So I'll talk about that in a moment. I don't know if I went over the best ending, which is where you side with the raider groups, get the perk and the weapons that you want, and then betray them, which like I said before, is either good for your character because you reap the best rewards, or bad if you're a Minuteman character who wants to keep Preston. So, or maybe you just don't care about Preston because you. So I would say if you don't want to keep Preston, I would say at least get his. I would say at the very least get his perk because it's actually pretty useful, and then just side with the raider groups, and then boom, there you go. Personally, of all of the 4 characters I use, my Minuteman General is the only one that doesn't have, or that doesn't use Preston, or that doesn't raid the Commonwealth, because when it comes to like characters I make, I take them seriously, and I like to picture this character as someone who doesn't reap benefits for the rewards, as opposed to just do what's right. So I would act like I sided with the Raiders, and then I got the problem solver, and then I just proceeded to destroy the Nuka-World bosses, or whatever. The Nuka-World Raiders or whatever. But I will say it would be best to uh, put the Raiders in for in Nuka-World, and the moment Gage is like, yeah, let's go talk with Shank, dismiss him, and then go talk to Mackenzie no, mostly Mackenzie, and then just open up, and then just do open season, and then going through and attack them all, because you can get more loot, you can get more stuff for the handmade rifle and whatnot. Anyway, going off track. And finally, my favorite Raider group, even though I barely sided with them, the Operators. The reason I like the Operators is mostly Mags. God damn. Anyway. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's mostly because of Mags. If it was just William, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but since it's Max Black, wow. So the Operators give you, is it the Relentless handmade rifle, sniper rifle, or the handmade sniper rifle? I think that's what it is. It's, yeah, because it's the same thing as Kellogg's pistol, which refills action points for every critical hit. So anytime you use a critical, your action points get refilled, which is actually pretty useful. Unless you're using the Disciples character, then it's just it is 25%. It's depending on how much action points you have, it could be pretty useful or just pretty bad for the Disciples, because even though that's the perk as a whole, that the whole legendary effect on the gun kind of overrules whatever it is. Granted, there are stipulations, melee weapons, and only 25%. So in a way, that the comment I was making is obsolete. And for the Ace Operator, you with the Chosen Disciples for the Disciples, and then Ace Operators for here. I don't know if I mentioned that. You you have minus 10% visibility in shadows, and you do plus 25% damage with silenced weapons. Now, that's not including sneak damage. Perks such as Cloak and Dagger, Ninja, Sneak, and Mr. Sandman don't affect this perk. It's base silent. It affects base damage. So, for example, if you have a handmade rifle, not silenced, you do your base damage with it alone, as opposed to the other perks, would be, let's say, 0. Alright, in this case. I don't know how that shit works, but if you add a silencer to that, you have 25, you have plus whatever, or plus 25%, with silenced weapons, which is pretty good if you're like me and you use, on the rare occasion that you end up doing snipers, because personally I have a better one for the railroad, cause that's all I side with now. Then it's actually pretty useful, because you get a better damaged weapon, well, aside from a 2-shot Gauss rifle or reliable. But personally, my favorite weapon of all time, since I have the DLC version or the Ultimate Edition of the Game of the Year, is the handmade rifle. It is absolutely amazing. I love the sound of it. I should have mentioned this, but the AK-47 as a whole is my favorite weapon. Probably not anymore, because I don't have a favorite gun anymore ever since an incident in 6th grade. God, it's like PTSD at this point. But I do like the handmade rifle because of the fact that, well, the stipulations for it are fucking stupid. Like, you need gun nut, which is set in stone, but you also need, like, rifleman big leagues for whatever reason. Even though if you don't have rifleman, if your character uses, and And I'm not going to talk about the Western Revolver because that doesn't come with any of the Nuka-World Raider bosses, but whatever. Um, so the stipulations of those are pretty weird. But with the sniper rifle you get, I think it's overall like the best receiver. I think it's like the best of the best. I will say though, since it is a sniper rifle, you end up getting the rifleman stock or the stock. I don't know. It's weird to me. I'm not a big fan of it, but if that's how they do it, that's how they do it. Who am I to complain, you know? So and we're not going over clothing because that's this whole thing. Clothing doesn't really affect the stats or how your character is. So now I'm gonna talk about weapon. Who would be the best to side with if you do a certain character. So if you do a Diamond City character, which is the baseball character, you have like a baseball uniform and a hat, I would definitely say the pack, mostly for the perk and the weapon, and also the disciples because the operators benefit nothing. Sniper character, the pack, and operators. Let me just say the pack is going to be in all of them because they have the best perk, even if you don't like the weapon, because you end up getting the perk after power play, which means you could go and talk to Mason and Nisha or Mason and Mags or whoever, and or Mags and Nisha. I don't know why you would betray Mason, but you can talk to the two remaining bosses to get your weapons. But the second you finish power play, you get the perk already, so you can just go on, start open season, and then murder and then kill them all, which is something I advise doing. Now, moving on, big guns, I would definitely say no one. But if you want options, if you do first weapons paladin build, I would say I do have a character that is a power armor character, but they used the cryolator and an automatic rifle because that was the only one I didn't have. So I would say the pack, and at that point it's your choice. But stealth melee. Now this one is actually pretty fun. Actually, fun fact, I enjoy stealth melee characters. In fact, whenever I said I was going to do a Fallout 4 build, the first one I was going to do was a stealth melee character because those are really easy to make. But I decided I had no choice. PS4 broke, whatever. So as a whole, I would say the pack is the best. Let me go back. I was gonna finish off this video. So if you're doing a stealth melee character, the pack and the disciples, because you do get that extra damage from unarmed and melee, as well as the damage resistance for the pack, and then you get some action point refills with the chosen disciple. Plus you get the instigating disciples cutlass, which in my opinion is the best one, but it isn't like the one that you should keep, or isn't like the best one. Well, remember that. I do think it's an amazing one. I don't think it's the best one to have as a weapon. I will say maybe the Sentinels is a good one if you do stealth melee and you have the rooted perk. So I will say that is pretty useful. Sorry, I'm recording this like a couple minutes after I woke up, so. So yeah, I will definitely say, as a whole, the pack would be a good one to side with, and then maybe the disciples. If you don't care about weapons, then I would definitely say those. But if you do care about weapons, it kind of depends on who you are. If you do, I'm just gonna keep calling it a Diamond City build because that's all I can think of as the reason you use baseball bats. Is if you do either a swatter build or a DC guard build, which is something I actually wanted to do, was do like a DC guard character, but I hate automatics, so so I would definitely say those are definitely one to go off of, or those are the ones to definitely use. So yeah, yeah, let me know. Do you have a preferred raider group you side with? As a whole, I would say you definitely shouldn't side with them, but again, that is only character based, and I personally believe that you can side with whoever you want, but that is something for you to think about. Is who, even though no one's really careless, then they're not like, oh, I'm gonna pick the operators and the disciples because they look cool. Well, the pack looks like a 5-year-old's notebook. It looks like a bunch of 5-year-olds just drew on them now. Although, if that's the case, that's pretty funny. So yeah, let me know if you ever do Nuka-World. Who do you side with? If you side with Raiders, I understand that to do the quest to do so to get all the Raiders there, the park is pretty. It's a lot of work for just something that you get or you don't really have to commit to anymore. But I don't know. Personally, I do think it's worth it. So yeah, let me know who you side with, and let me know what you thought about this video. I appreciate all criticisms. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, and subscribe to my channel. I've been getting like a lot more views than I expected. I expected a lot of my videos to just get like 0, 0, 0, and then I've been doing this for nothing. But I've been getting a lot more views lately, so I appreciate that. But make sure you subscribe; it'll help out this channel. And share with friends. Maybe maybe your friend is one of those where they just side with any of the Raider bosses who they think are cool, or maybe you just think they'll enjoy this video, or my channel. In which case, hi, I'm a loser, so hi. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment, share, and all that. Loser Maniac out.